Because I remember you having just a litany of stories of nonsense you've been into.
We just got back from another cheap car cannonball where I was supposed to drive a replica of the Transcon Medevac that was in the 1981 movie, but unfortunately it broke down, as the one in the real movie did, in real life. And so we had to buy a Lexus 7 hours before departure on Facebook Marketplace and drive it across the country. And we made it, put some tires on it, wiper blades, topped off the fluids, and 35 hours later we were in LA.
How much was the Lexus? Can I ask? Is that impolite?
Of course, yeah. No, this guy's granddad had given it to him, and he didn't care to own it. It was blue on blue leather with blue tinted windows, and it was as grandpa spec as you could ever imagine. And
it came with a blue top hat and a giant rainbow overcoat. Yes.
I'm reaching a certain age where grandpa specs are just regular cars.
Well, you know. There's a time and a place for it. So it was a 92 LS 400 and it was $2,200. And I think I talked him down to $1,500. And there's a guy who was coming with us as the third driver who does cosplay as Captain Chaos. And he decided he really wanted to own this Lexus. And so rather than me buying it, he bought it and has since driven it 10,000 more miles around the country.
Jesus Christ. Have you seen what Captain Chaos dailies? You've seen the Civic he drives. The Lexus is definitely an upgrade.
It is. It is. He somehow Ubers though, and I know neither car.
Does he just lie? Maybe
Uber has tow trucks now. There's no way he's driving that Civic around.
It doesn't make sense. But no, he's a great guy, and so he and the guy that owns the ambulance and had been building it for the last 14 years, and this was his like end game, was getting it across the country. Didn't actually make it to the start either, so we brought one of the camera guys along, and the three of us made it across. We ended up in third place out of, I think, 29 cars this year. So supposed to be the last running of one of these old car, cheap car cannonballs. So no real.
You're not going to end on a third place.
Well, this was.
There's nothing wrong with bronze. Quit giving him a hard time.
It's now it's just a whole lot more for fun. We got the record. We'll just leave it there, and now we just go out and have a crazy road trip.
Nice.
How do you avoid tickets? I know we've talked, but like, you have a strategy, or do you just charm?
Well, if you're going to avoid tickets, driving a Grandpa Spec Lexus is a great way to start because they don't. It doesn't look like Rob's Corvette flying by. I mean, it's a very different persona on the road, but it actually drove pretty well. Had a real bad power steering whine, but you're just going straight most of the time, so that's not that big of a deal. It would do. We got up to 137 miles an hour once. But normally you're just cruising 90, 100, and out in the middle of nowhere, middle of the night. That's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that'd be really fun to do, but it's got to get exhausting. Like I feel like when you first start, everybody's pumped and excited, and the adrenaline's going. It's like we're gonna break a record, and then by like 30 hours in, when you're not even in California yet, you're just like, never again, right? Never again. I just shat in a diaper. Never again, right, boys?
When you get about 2/3 across the country, it's boring driving and you're exhausted, right? It's just flat. There's nothing to see. You're in what? The desert? It's a rough place.
It is, but in an event like this, at the very least, you're entertained by the constant feed of other people breaking down. And so most of the cars were engaged in some form of calamity constantly. So one guy did 103 hours in an old Suburban, did a roadside head gasket change. So
103 hours?
Correct. Yeah, we'd all, well been home by the time.
I could take a Greyhound bus faster than that.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What you guys should do is the Kramer challenge from Seinfeld, where you just see how far you can drive below the empty line. Like in a given car, who can get the furthest?
Dude, we did have some running out of gas happen for sure.
Cars are amazing. Like you took a 1992. Most of the things in my life are consumer grade, right? All around me, it's just consumer grade bullshit. Things that break if you drop them or don't work like they're supposed to. You buy is it 27 years old? Incalculable. A very, very old Lexus, and then you just hop in it and you race across the country at over 100 miles an hour oftentimes, and it works. It works without complaint. That thing just, you can switch drivers. It would have gone back, maybe. There are many things in my life as good as cars.
The Japanese
Let me
make
interject
good
real quick
products.
because I know Woody was just talking shit on crappy consumer products, but we're a pro-China podcast.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
we are not about
Absolutely.
to get canceled. We're whatever stance YouTube is at the moment.
How could you say something so brave yet so courageous?
There you go.
We bow down to our
So
Chinese
well.
overlords.
Yeah.
So well. And of course, it's a Japanese car, but that also works. The fastest crossing ever of a Japanese car, best as we can tell, 35 hours, 55 minutes. But
Nice.
that's the thing. There's another prominent YouTuber, Matt Farah, the Smoking Tire, that just hit 1 million miles in a similar Lexus LS 400. So they are known for longevity. Admittedly, it wasn't my first choice. If I'm going to drive across the country, I want to do it in something a bit more interesting than that. So I had spent the morning lowballing sellers of old Rolls Royces, planning to dress as the sheiks.
From Cannonball Run. Brilliant.
I
Yeah.
couldn't get any of them bought that day because
That'll
most
play
of
well
them
in
that you
Texas.
find people bought for wedding getaway cars, and then realized we now own an old derelict Rolls Royce, and it would not have made it across undramatically, but it would have been nice to pull out of the parking lot.
For sure.
I keep
So does
getting
everybody
I
take
keep
the
getting a
same-
vision of this with a Rolls Royce, and the first thing that pops in my head, and I don't want to butt in, but didn't Doug ride with you guys? Or Doug
No,
was
they
in
were in his Monte Carlo until Denver, and then they broke.
because Doug's kind of got the tan.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like a little midget chic. It'd be cute.
It would be cute.
Midget chic.
He would hop out and be like, "It's a mini me."
The new style this fall, midget chic. Yeah. Sweatpants, they're too small for you.
Oh,
Wonderful.
They prefer dwarfs. Okay.
Dwarf chic.
Dwarf chic.
After many complaints, we've changed to dwarf chic.
So does everyone take the same route? It sounded like you were getting to see people break down. Is everybody, they decided, oh, this is the path of least resistance, and they're kind of on the same highway for the most part?
The most traditional route is to come down through St. Louis and then go across I-40. That's the only way that was available in the 1970s, which is kind of what we're paying homage to.
Mhm.
Now it's actually a little bit faster to go the northern route along 80, as long as your car makes enough power to deal with the altitude. So you just kind of stay and then come down through Vegas. So we've generally done the 40 route just because it's the one I'm most familiar with, and it's easier on the cars. You get a bunch of big wide open states if you go north, but it's not quite if you break down, it's a whole lot harder to find a tow truck.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've driven across from Atlanta to Seattle and back before. And when you're driving through Idaho, do whatever the fuck you want. You could be in a super fucking alcohol burning funny car, and nobody's going to notice if you're breaking Mach 2 out on those highways.
you can be cooking meth in Idaho on the side of the road and nobody cares.
They don't. We were driving through Idaho, and we were just in my my 4-door Chevrolet Silverado, and we'd driven for 40 minutes without seeing a single car going 90. And I was like, let's pull over and do something fun. There's nobody out here. This is a rare, I'm from out here. There's people every fucking where. Traffic's crazy. I'm in Atlanta, by the way. And so we pull over. I get up on the hood of the Silverado facing forward and pull my arms back, and I can grab like under the top of the hood. And I look back and nod to my cousin, and we're going 90. And we're going 90. I'm just on the hood riding out there. We got a video of it somewhere, but it's just like, it's really fucking fun to be on the hood of a car going 90 miles an hour down the highway. And I figured if there's a cop coming, we'd see him. But I'm not getting off if some hillbilly's coming by.
Oh, you could get out of that easily, because all you have to do is you're passing the cop is go, help, help, and then they'll stop him, and they're gonna give you cocoa and a warm blanket because
I thought they'd never stop.
Oh, these monsters, they pretend to know who I am. They looked at my whole backstory where I live.